Hello, friends. I'm sure there has to be some moments lately where you'll sit all nice for the evening, tucking into a cuppa, scratching the old flea nest and wondering, so, when's this Valrillin bloke going to show up then? Well, have I got some good news for you. So, are you ready to hear the rest of the tale? Then let us commence. Would you mind if we begin by checking in with Meenko? Great. If you recall, Meenko had left once-was on a mission with a few resistance operatives on the way to Inwale, the Haunted Wood, to see if they could rustle up some clues on the whereabouts of the Glimmer. The first day of the mission went well. The group, made up of, as I mentioned, Meenko, our old friend Bandamon, the strange but sweet seer Vilena, a beefy bugbear named Boors, one of the rejects named Monkey Paul, and a centaur warrior named Antiopa, left the Resistance's underground hive of bunkers known as the Warren, and headed through the desolate and dangerous streets of the ruined metropolis, stealthily avoiding Valrillin's terrifying sentries. Soon after the resolute companions took to the streets, a huge explosion rocked the city far off in the opposite direction. The Resistance was really serious about creating a diversion to hide the mission's jump-off. So that was definitely a good way to start. Cracking on for the rest of the day, the companions were able to navigate unhindered and unassailed, eventually reaching the outskirts of the vast ruined city and entering the smoggy grassland wastelands beyond. Throughout the day, Meenko noticed that Vilena was becoming more and more distracted, her many eyes growing distant as though focusing on something beyond regular perception. At camp that night, Vilena shared with Meenko that she had been sensing a presence, or trace of something, at the edge of her consciousness. A sort of light or strand of light, in the direction they were headed. She wasn't yet certain if what she sensed was a true external anomaly, and not just some sort of internal vision of her own making, as with a divination or the like. Meenko advised caution, but also felt that given their mission, it was encouraging at the least. The next day the troop continued on, making good time, as the land they were travelling through was, save for scattered ruins, quite empty, and the landscape itself easy to traverse. About halfway through the day, a wide forest could be seen on the horizon to the southeast, Inwale. Meenko noticed that a strange green smog appeared to engulf and penetrate the woods. They pressed on. Vilena appeared even more distracted and distant as they travelled. That night, the seer told Meenko and the group that there was indeed an external entity that she was sensing, that lay somewhere within Inwale, and within the Gossamers, which was the part of the woods they would be entering the next day. The entity or anomaly felt like strands of light in her mind, beckoning to her at the edges of her perception, leading her back to it or to somewhere it wanted her to go. While encouraging of Vilena's abilities, and of the importance of whatever she was sensing, Meenko felt it was also important to strongly recommend caution, pointing out that whatever it was she was sensing could also be leading them all into a trap. After all, it was directly encouraging them all to walk right into a famously haunted wood to find it. Everyone was somber about that, and about Inwale in general. But Vilena promised that she was doing her best to suss out the motivations of whatever this was she was sensing, and that she had the group's safety in mind first and foremost. It's fine. I'm sure it is all 100% fine. Right. On the other side of Mercahain, the Ragtags were packing up their camp in the northwest of Tirbanrian and getting ready to say goodbye to their new friends. While the Sealy agents, Frobisher dos Santos and Sloane Skifflefeet, as well as Answer's brother Jewel, would be joining them on their continued quest, the much less angry mage Cormag Sot, the Hexblood Bucko Beck, the fey bard but not that bard Engun. And the Hainish commoners wouldn't be joining them. In keeping with his planeswalking ways, Cormag was teleporting back to Sylvania, and Buck would be tagging along. Not that anyone was broken up about him leaving. Meanwhile, Engun was escorting the commoners home, and then heading to Oncewas. Much to everyone's disappointment, Nuala, the Eladrin paladin and member of the now-extinct Order of Knights often known as the Lost, would also be leaving. Since being freed from her centuries-long somnambulant imprisonment just the night before, the warrior had undergone a change in appearance and attitude, as Eladrin can, adopting the determined and fiery characteristics of a summer aspect. She would be travelling with Engun, ensuring the commoners made it home and then rendezvousing with the resistance in Oncewas, no doubt to bolster their martial ranks with her considerable skills. With that, Cormag and Buck teleported away, and Nuala and Engun led their little caravan down the main road further into Tir Banrian. The Ragtags continued to pack up, eager to begin their journey southwest to the Stone Shores. Suddenly, a familiar and rather irritating figure appeared and called out,
"Devrina! Devrina! Where is that little fawn?"
Shup, it was Nimnilian, Archfey and Spiriter of Action in Sylvania. And he was looking for Devrina, who, when she wasn't adventuring, and almost getting killed on the regular with the Ragtags, actually had a job as the Spiritor's personal assistant, as well as being a librarian back in the Feywild Gate Town. Apparently, paperwork had been piling up back in Sylvania, so Nimnilian was looking to collect the put upon fawn and head back. He then became distracted by the Liber Luna Infinitus, though when he read the frankly damning and dismissive entry on himself that described the vapid Archfey as
little more than a transient enigma, a fleeting wisp of whimsy amidst the timeless expanse of the Feywild, and to most, a vapid gadabout unlikely to leave a legacy of any substance or worth. Hey, that is just mean, isn't it?
So, yeah, his feelings were clearly hurt. Poor Devrina, clearly upset and torn up that she had to leave her comrades in the middle of a perilous quest, struggled to say goodbye to everyone. Regal stepped forward and told Devrina that Val Rillin had put Sylvania in peril as well, so it would need someone steadfast there to defend it and keep it safe. This steeled the brave fawn somewhat, and with that, she turned and Nimnilian bamfed them back to Sylvania. Sorry. I promised myself I wouldn't do this. I'm going to need a moment. Okay. I'm going to miss that little fawn librarian, full stop. The Ragtags headed southwest through the forests of Tir Banrian. Soon into the journey, the weather changed as a steady rain began and never really stopped through the day. Pushing on, the woods became thicker, and there was no truly worn path through, leaving Varys to guide them as best as he could. The wildlife in the forest chattered away all around them, as wildlife does, until Varys began to notice something strange about it all. The perceptive scholar could swear he heard words, spoken in Sylvan, and, stranger still, they seemed to be coming from the birds and other animals. Shaking his head in disbelief, Varys continued on. But soon, he knew he wasn't hearing things. The animals were saying something in Sylvan. Unsettlingly, they were saying, "We see them, we see them, we see them," over and over. And then, they were saying it in common as well, so everyone could hear it. Disturbingly, as the Ragtags pressed on into the woods alarmed by all this, they could now see all the animals, every bird, every squirrel, insects, moles, voles, even a deer, were all stopped and staring at them, their mouths all mouthing the words, "We see them, we see them, we see them." And then, behind the trees, pushing up into the canopy. Branches began snapping and cracking like twigs as something enormous shifted, raising itself up to stand about 30 feet tall. A black, shadowy, horned figure. And then it spoke.
So, you are the ones who dare disrupt my domain.
That's... Oh. Wow. Okay.